What tools can we use are available to us to think about risk? One is, we call it the cause and effect Ishigara or fishbone diagram, where we actually we have a symptom here, but we actually need to come down and see what the actual cause is for that. But if you take that and you turn it on its side, what does it look like? Apart from a Christmas tree, which everyone will say. It's actually like a work breakdown structure. So the cause is at the top, and then you just break it down, and you get down to the core issue. Now there is a technique called the 5 why technique. Have you heard of that? Yes. Mm-hmm. If you ask a question why 5 times, you generally will get down to the core root problem that you're going to get to. So don't just ask once and accept the answer. Ask why 5 times. You're generally going to get down to the core. Again, this is the type of thing. It's WBS again. You're just breaking things down. But don't think about the symptom, also think about what the actual true cause is. WBS, your network diagram, your schedule, these are all tools that we have used already to start to identify potential risks, in which we will capture, then we will then analyse and decide what to do with. The easiest thing to do, and this is a minimum that any project should be doing, is a risk matrix. Now, I prefer not a triangle, but I prefer a 16 box than a 9 box, or even a 25. Why do I prefer 16 rather than 9 or 25? No, because I don't like 25. I don't want 25 either. Sorry? There's no middle? There's no middle. There's no middle. This and the 25 has a middle. What tends to happen is, I'm going to use my post-it notes, and I identify a risk, and I look at this risk and I go, what's the likelihood that this is going to cause us a problem? And I go, well, I'm not going to put it as low because I really don't want to. I really want it to be recognised. Otherwise, what's the point? But I'm also not going to do high because that means I'm sticking my head out a bit. So I'm going to play it safe, and I'm going to go in the middle. And I will do that for the impact as well. And we see quite a lot of risks kind of getting in the middle because that's human nature. So here we're forcing ourselves over this point, and this is, let's say this is impact. Low, medium, high, very high. This is our likelihood. Doesn't matter which way around we do it.
I have a question about that. Why did we do it with the stakeholder thing? There was a 9 matrix.
Yeah, because we have clearly defined blockers, floating voters and champions. So here we're going to define different metrics. Here we've got a supporter, we've got a negative, we've got a neutral. So we've only got 3 real players. Some in the stakeholder register, some will have another definition. You can see it broken down sometimes. But I find this is good for prioritising. And then when we go to this one, we then get to the action. So this is the one that gives us real value. This just helps us prioritise. So we're using it for a slightly different process. But good observation. Yeah. So if we talk about impact, what are some of the thresholds we could use? So what's a low impact to our project? So if we said triangle, quality, resources, time, what would a low impact be like for our project, do you think?
Affects one of the 3 sides for a specific threshold.
So if we said plus or minus, because we can also look at the other side from a positive, but if we said plus or minus 5 to 10%,
Sure. and this could be plus or minus 10 to 15,
15 to 20, 25 and above, we're getting real high, we've got to deal with something. Yeah, I mean, you could quantify it like that. Likelihood could be 1 in a million, 1 in 500,000, so you could think of it, or you could a lot less than that, whatever you feel is relevant, but you could also look at it from that sort of perspective as well. So if we let's go back to our camping holiday. Was there moan and groans about the camping holiday? Checking. We're going to brainstorm. We're using brainstorms again. What are some of the risks that we can associate with the camping holiday? Sorry?
No, that the kids won't like it. So it's like a lack of engagement from the kids.
Okay.
The dog might die.
The car breaks down.
Bad
Because
weather.
something-
The mother-in-law might die.
Yeah, weather.
That's the opportunity.
Oh, right.
So we could actually have, basically we can actually show another one of these, and one's the negative side, one's the positive side.
Car breaks down.
Car breaks down. There are loads of others you're going to have to... Now, car breakdown, on the way or on the way back? Be a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah? Be an impact, different. The impact will be different.
Yeah.
So is it on the way or is it on the way back?
Both. I mean, yeah, we
It's like Schrodinger's car.
Two post-its, that's what I meant.
Very,
Until it happens.
On the way. Okay, we'll say he's on the way because it's got a bigger impact to us. Okay. Someone else said some other risks. What do you?
Weather.
Weather. What does everyone say the weather? Okay. Weather. Yeah.
Exchange rates.
There was equipment. So
Okay. So you're talking about the equipment. So
Failure.
even though we're going to check it, you still think there'll be a risk.
Exchange rates.
Loss of limb.
always a risk.
Always a risk. Don't forget about it. High impact. Low likelihood.
Okay.
See, now the other thing that we're demonstrating here is that as human beings, we're extremely good at looking at how things will go wrong with things, aren't we?
Yeah.
We could probably fill up this easily, this whole thing with post-it notes, quite easily. We're very creative when it comes to looking at things that are wrong. Why don't we do it naturally then? It's really easy for us to do this. We should be doing this quite easily for each of our projects. What are some of the other ones we have?
Yeah, injury.
Injury. So can I just say illness?
no.
If I say illness to children? Yeah. That's it. Well, we should be going down. We should be going down. Just give me one more.
A sudden hard Brexit.
But these were inevitable.
Yeah. Yeah, we could be ages. The likelihood of hard Brexit, we're going to be ages with the conversations about that one. Okay, the car breaks down on the way to the campsite. What is the likelihood of the car breaking down on the way to the... It's a 13, 15-year-old car.
It's a medium.
Medium high.
Medium?
Yeah, medium.
What's the impact to the project if the car breaks down on the way there?
High.
Yeah, it depends, right? Because the threshold is 15 to 20%, but since they're only 50 miles from where they're going in a radius, so even if their car would break down, they could probably get roadside assistance quite quickly. And
Now
so,
you're into the solution mode.
Right.
I like your thinking. What's the likelihood, even though we're going to check the equipment beforehand, what's the likelihood the equipment is going to fail? Camping and cooking equipment. We should split that down again, but we
Low.
low. What's the impact?
medium.
Yeah.
So we've got no cooking equipment and no camping equipment.
High.
What's the likelihood the kids won't like the camping holiday?
Well, they're 14 and 16, so it's quite high.
What's the impact on the holiday?
Very high.
Very high.
Kind of built into the project.
Yeah, we're conditioned. Yeah. So what we're saying, high? Okay.
Very high.
It's very high
Oh
and
my god.
Very high, very high.
Very high.
Wow, extreme risk.
impact is
Yeah, impact very high, likelihood high.
What's the likelihood that the children have illness?
Or if they don't like it.
No, proper illness, not pretend illness. Likelihood, probably quite low. Impact?
Very high.
Yeah, it's high-ish. You're going to feel it, aren't you? Definitely. Exchange rate. What's the likelihood that the exchange rate will have an impact on our holiday? No. Impact?
No.
What's the likelihood that a hard Brexit will impact our holiday? What's the likelihood?
Very low.
Low. What's the impact?
Not so low.
It's going to be low as well. What's the likelihood that we will get poor weather in the United Kingdom during the Easter holiday? What's the impact?
Oh, low, right? You're used to it.
So, what we now need to do is decide where our risk appetite is. So generally we would say anything that's down here, we will accept the risk and we will absorb the impact. And again, it depends on the risk appetite. I usually draw it from here, but you can draw it right in here. You can just have here, you can have here, but you can draw it where you want to. But anything in here, we must mitigate. So we have to come up with something that's going to drive these out. And anything in here, we must have a plan B. So, must mitigate. Is there anything we can do to affect the likelihood of poor weather in the United Kingdom?
No.
No. What can we do to reduce the impact? Sorry?
Stay in a hotel.
I think that might blow the budget.
Buy a more
Bring an umbrella.
less stronger.
Okay, equipment?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Government.
Clothes. Clothes.
Clothes, yeah. Additional set of clothes to reduce the impact.
Choose a sheltered campsite.
We could investigate sheltered campsites. That might also affect that way as well, mightn't it? Because you're reducing the likelihood that this weather will impact on you. It's still going to happen, but actually you won't feel the force of it because you're in a more sheltered campaign, a sheltered area. Could be. What about car breaks down on the way? What can you do to lessen the likelihood? Service the car.
Yeah, you check the car beforehand.
What about the impact if it actually happens? Roadside assistance.
Yeah. Bring food and water and games.
Provisions. Backup transport. Ideas. Have them ready. Research. What's the likelihood that the kids? What can we do about the likelihood with the kids not liking the holiday?
Share the plan with them.
Share plan. Okay.
Make them part of the plan.
Still ownership of your space.
Yeah.
Bring your dog.
Bring bears.
What can we do when we're there and we know they don't like it?
Don't listen to them.
Ignore.
Bring
Don't day trips.
e-devices, day trips,
Day trips.
so on and so forth. Yeah? You get the idea? That's what we're doing. That's what you're going to do for your... This is the minimum that we should be doing. We can quantify it by putting scoring in, so you'd give each one a value and then one times the other is going to give you a value. And as you said, we're talking about risks that can be accepted, risks that cannot be accepted, but we're going to have a plan B, or unacceptable, we need to do something to physically move them out of that area, and where is our risk appetite for things.